My sister stole my credit card to buy a $6,218 designer bag. My mom didn't believe it. She defended her and screamed at me. Get out. Right now. 3 weeks later, the police uncovered the truth. And that was when the real tragedies in my family began. Hey Reddit, I'm Juliet 29F, and I grew up learning that love in my family was conditional and easily redirected if someone shinier came along. I wasn't born with a silver spoon. But my younger sister Tessa practically had the whole sterling set handed to her before she could crawl. She was 24F, 5 years younger, and my parents adore her in the way they only tolerated me. I was the responsible one. The fixer. The peacemaker. And they called that being uptight. Tessa was impulsive, selfish, reckless. And they called that free-spirited. It started when we were little. I remember getting a B+ in math once and hearing my dad say I should try harder. The same year Tessa failed her biology class and got taken out for ice cream to cheer her up. That was the dynamic. Every time she messed up, the world bent around her to soften the fall. When I needed help, I was told I should know better. Fast forward to adulthood. I worked my ass off to build a career in UX design. I didn't come from money, so I freelanced through college, paid off my own student loans, and now work for a firm that pays decently. I have a solid credit score, a modest apartment, and a healthy savings buffer. I'm not flashy, but I'm proud of what I've built. Tessa, on the other hand, had hopped from influencer dreams to beauty school to quitting everything when things didn't go viral fast enough. My parents, especially my mom, kept bailing her out. Rent. Paid. Credit card debt. Forgiven. She had no income but somehow always wore the trendiest outfits and posted brunch pics like she lived on a yacht. Now here's where the story really begins. About 6 weeks ago, I noticed a weird charge on my credit card bill. I rarely use that card. I keep it mostly for emergencies, but there was a $6,218 transaction from a high-end designer boutique downtown. I nearly dropped my coffee when I saw it. At first I thought it was fraud. I contacted the card company and they confirmed it was an in-store purchase. With chip and PIN, I froze. Nobody had access to that card except me. I kept it tucked in a zippered pouch in my work bag, which I only bring home when I visit my family on weekends. And that's when it hit me. I had stayed the previous weekend at my parents' house to help Dad set up his new laptop, and Tessa had been home too. Suddenly a flashback hit me of her coming into my room while I was showering and saying something like, "Oh, is this your new bag? So cute." She must have swiped my card right then. I felt sick, but I needed proof. So I quietly called the boutique, explained the situation, and asked if there were security cameras or a receipt. The manager was incredibly helpful. She confirmed a woman matching Tessa's description had come and bought the bag and had even taken a selfie holding it with a store associate, which they had posted to their store's Instagram account. I found the post. There she was, wearing the cream trench coat she loved, holding the exact designer bag, smiling. Under the caption, "Another happy client living her luxury dream." I screenshot it. Heart pounding. I drove straight to my parents' house that evening. I didn't go in guns blazing. I came in calm, even hopeful. Maybe she'd admit it. Maybe Mom and Dad would finally see how out of control things were. Mom was in the kitchen chopping vegetables. Dad was on the couch watching the news. Tessa was upstairs. I asked Mom if we could talk. She looked annoyed, like I was already being dramatic. I said in the most even voice I could manage that someone had used my credit card last weekend. I explained the situation, then showed her the boutique's Instagram post. She didn't even flinch. Instead, she scoffed and said, "Tessa doesn't need to steal from you. She probably just has the same taste. That could be any bag." I blinked at her. I said, "Mom, it's the same exact transaction. I have the charge." The boutique confirmed it was her. I even had the associate's contact. I'm not accusing her without evidence. And that's when I heard Tessa coming down the stairs. She walked into the kitchen like nothing was wrong, wearing that same designer bag slung over her shoulder like a trophy. And when she saw me, she smirked. I asked her calmly, "Tessa, did you use my card?" She didn't deny it. She rolled her eyes and said, "It's just one bag, Jules. You make good money. Why are you acting poor?" I was stunned. Speechless. That was her defense. Mom, however, exploded. At me. She pointed a shaking finger at me and screamed, "You come into my house accusing your sister of stealing. Do you know how jealous and toxic that makes you look?" I stammered. I said, "You just heard her admit it." Mom didn't even blink. She screamed louder, her voice trembling with fury. "Get you. Right now." I didn't know what to do. Dad stood there silently, arms crossed. No one defended me. Not a single person cared that I had been stolen from. I grabbed my keys, tears stinging my eyes, and walked out. No apology. No second thoughts. I didn't even make it to my car before I started sobbing. That night I filed a formal police report. I attached every screenshot, every receipt, and even linked the boutique's Instagram post. I gave them the store manager's contact. The officer said, "Ma'am, this isn't just theft. This is felony fraud, and we take that seriously." I didn't want her arrested. I just wanted accountability. But deep down I also wanted anyone to finally see what I'd lived with my whole life. 3 weeks passed. I hadn't spoken to my parents or Tessa. I was blocked on their phones, ignored by mutual friends, and left to feel like I had destroyed the family. Until one Monday afternoon I got a call from the detective. He said the store's camera footage had been reviewed, the store associate had given a statement, and the credit card match was confirmed. They were preparing to arrest Tessa. And that's when everything unraveled. Because that phone call wasn't the end. It was the beginning. Of something none of us were ready for. Of the real tragedies my family never saw coming. I barely slept the night after the detective called me. My hands trembled as I stared at my phone screen. Heart racing. I kept replaying the moment my mom screamed at me, the way Tessa rolled her eyes like I was the problem. And now the weight of justice was about to crash down on their perfect little delusion. I thought I'd feel triumphant. Instead I felt hollow. The next morning I got a call from my Aunt Colleen. She was the only one in my extended family who ever really checked in on me, even when things got weird between me and my parents. She sounded worried. "Juliet, honey, what is going on? I just got a call from your mom and she's in absolute hysterics. Something about Tessa being arrested." I told her everything. No sugarcoating. The theft, the Instagram post, the police report, the boutique confirming it all, everything. And for once someone believed me without needing a signed confession from God himself. My aunt was silent for a moment. Then she whispered, "Your mom told the whole family that you stole Tessa's identity to make her look bad. That you were obsessed and mentally unwell." My stomach dropped. They were already spinning it, turning me into the villain. Again. That night I got another call, this time from the boutique manager. Apparently the police had just retrieved the store footage, and the employee who helped Tessa testified that she even made a joke while paying, like, "I know it's expensive, but my sister's card can handle it." She winked at the cashier. So she didn't just do it. She bragged about it. That clip, along with the surveillance footage, became central evidence in her arrest. A few days later Tessa was taken into custody for felony credit card fraud. My parents. They completely unraveled. Mom called me from a different number, sobbing and screaming in one breath. How dare I let them arrest her baby? What kind of monster turns in her own sister? Dad texted me once saying I was vindictive and cruel. They told everyone I was jealous and bitter because Tessa was more beautiful, more loved, more everything. It was disgusting. But then things took a darker turn. Turns out Tessa had more skeletons in her closet. Once the initial investigation began, detectives found similar charges connected to 2 other family members, an uncle and a family friend, both of whom had also written off strange card transactions in the past, never suspecting her. She had a pattern. And no one saw it because they never wanted to. The case got serious fast. Prosecutors started pushing for a plea deal only if she admitted to all known counts. When confronted, Tessa panicked. She started calling me from jail, leaving voicemails filled with crying and apologies, all fake, all too late. But the voicemail that broke me was from Mom. She wasn't crying. She was furious. She said, "You will regret this. You tore this family apart. Your sister might kill herself and it'll be your fault. I hope you're proud." I dropped my phone. Something inside me snapped. The rage I had buried my whole life came rushing up. I had spent 29 years trying to keep the peace, to be the good daughter, the quiet one, the understanding one. I had spent birthdays sitting at the kids' table while Tessa was toasted. I had cleaned up her messes, driven her home drunk, loaned her money she never returned. And now I was being blamed for her actions again. No. No more. So I did something I never thought I would do. I sent the voicemails, texts, evidence, everything to the rest of the extended family. Aunts, uncles, cousins, even mom's church friends. I laid it all bare. I included my police report, screenshots of Tessa at the boutique, and the arrest record. And then I posted a short message to Facebook. I was disowned and called a liar when I reported a crime committed against me. But the truth always comes out. Let this be a reminder. Silence doesn't protect anyone but the guilty. The response? Explosive. Half the family messaged me apologizing. Some admitted they'd always seen how I was treated. Others forwarded their own stories of Tessa manipulating or using them. My cousin Rachel said she once caught Tessa going through her purse at a family barbecue. Another cousin had loaned her $600 she never saw again. The entire golden image of my sister shattered. And my parents? They were now trapped in a corner they couldn't lie their way out of. Then came the biggest tragedy of all. Tessa attempted to take her own life while out on bail. She survived, but barely. She was hospitalized, held under psychiatric watch. And suddenly my mother was quiet. The dramatic Facebook post stopped. The blaming messages disappeared. My dad too fell silent. And me? I was left sitting in my apartment staring at the wall, feeling numb. I hadn't wanted any of this. Not jail. Not hospitalizations. Not tragedy. All I wanted was the truth. Accountability. Safety. In the weeks that followed, Tessa entered a treatment center for her mental health and addiction issues. Through the legal process, she agreed to a plea deal that included restitution and mandatory therapy. She was put on probation and criminal charges were officially recorded. My credit card was reimbursed. My reputation slowly repaired. And my distance from my family became permanent. I wish I could say there was a beautiful reunion at the end. That my parents apologized. That Tessa and I rebuilt something. But no. This story isn't tied with a perfect bow. Instead, it ended with silence. Painful, overdue silence. But also peace. Because for the first time in my life, I stopped begging for love I never received. I stopped trying to fix people who didn't want to be better. I chose myself. I moved cities. Changed my number. Took a job at a new firm. Bought a little dog who now takes up most of my camera roll. I'm not rich. I'm not famous. But I'm finally safe. And sometimes that's the real happy ending.